This is a Fight Night special from Saudi Arabia, a podcast that we'll be bringing to you on a day-by-day basis here from Jeddah. This is episode 4. It is the night before the big fight. So today has obviously been weigh-in day. I'm Adam Cattrall, pleasure to be with you. Spencer Oliver is alongside me, and the busiest man in boxing, Mike Goodall, is also joining us on the show to give us a little bit of insight as to what it's like to put on a fight here in Saudi Arabia, and he's going to give us some inside information as to what's going on in AJ's camp. So make sure you stick around for that. Now, listen, before we get to all that and start discussing what we think might play out tomorrow evening at the King Abdullah Arena, let's hear from Eddie Hearn and his reaction to today's weigh-ins.
Eddie, weigh-ins done. Was you pleased with what you see on the scales?
I was. I mean, all week I've been thinking Usyk was going to be heavier. I've been talking about his game plan of being more aggressive. I think I've got it completely wrong. He's about the same weight as last time. I think he's going to fight the same way as last time. AJ looks great. I don't think AJ trains to be a specific weight. I think he trains for a specific fight. And that's the weight he's end up being, which is, 2 pounds heavier than last time?
Yeah,
something
it was
like
4
that.
pounds.
4 pounds heavier than last time.
Last time, and there was a lot of talk about Usyk being even 15 kilos heavier.
Yeah.
Or so, when we looked at it, we thought maybe 15 pounds a year, but we were surprised by the weight as well. What are you expecting tactically from Usyk?
I think I don't think he wants to get backed up in this fight, but I think he has to fight off the back foot, especially being that weight as well. I said to AJ up there, look at him, after the weigh-in, we could see him from the side, and I just said, look at him, you've got to take this guy to hell. I know he's good, I know he's a pound-for-pound number one, but look at the physicalities. You are a monster compared to this guy. He's 23 pounds heavier, all right? It's not far off 2 stone. And I know this guy is a fantastic fighter, but it was a great head-to-head. And, AJ just said to him, how's your body?
Yeah.
And he went, what? He went, how's your body?
Yeah, well,
and he was like, are you ready? And because there's been stories in sparring, how it is, you hear everything. But if he did get hurt in sparring to the body, then that will just stick up there in his mind. And one thing's for sure, if he attacks this body, and he attacks, with variation to the head as well, Usyk cannot. I said to AJ, it's physically impossible for him to stand up to your firepower. Physically impossible. But you've got to get there, you've got to get your feet in position, you've got to be aggressive, and you've got to land it.
Yeah, Usyk's been on the floor 3 times in 3 different contests, all with body shots.
Yeah.
We've been seeing that. I think AJ's seen that as well. Had the conversation with him actually about tactics and how he should approach the fight. He recognises that he needs to take this fight to him. He needs to control the space, and he needs to use his size, his reach, his power, and take Usyk out of there and treat it really, Eddie, as a 6-round fight. Go in there and go, listen, you get into those penultimate rounds and you're in trouble because Usyk gets into a rhythm. I think he recognised that. I think that we're going to see something different from AJ here, aren't we, on Saturday night?
I mean, you've got to be careful, you've got to be smart. It's educated pressure. But standing off him, I mean, there were times at Spurs where he was a sitting duck. He's waiting, next thing the right hand's come down the middle, ping, the head's gone back. And it's like, and you can't afford to stand off Alexander Usyk. But you've got to find a way to push him back. What Derek done so well was just maul him back to the ropes, come in with a cross guard and just walk him back and come in so sort of recklessly that he didn't have any choice but to go backwards. AJ's not really that kind of fighter, but he's got to find a way to get Usyk to go backwards, because when he can unload is when he's on the ropes. As soon as he touches those ropes, AJ can let everything go, body, head, everything. But he's got to find a way to be the bigger man to get him back, because if the fight takes place in the middle of the ring, like it did last time, and Usyk just does his thing, he doesn't go anywhere near the ropes. He stays in that little, almost a smaller ring within the ring, and just boxes round in that circle. And you can't make him go backwards there. You can't make him hit the ropes and start defending, because that's when you've got to rain the shots in on him. But I just feel that, the first 4 rounds in this fight are going to be so important, because if he doesn't put a dent in Usyk in those first 4 rounds, the fight's going to start getting very difficult. I know he's going to think about the 12 rounds and think about the tank and stuff like that, but empty the tank if need be, because that might be your best opportunity to win this fight.
Is Anthony Joshua getting enough respect, Eddie? Because people are accusing him of, since that first defeat to Ruiz in June 2019, and winning the fight back here behind his jab, and then winning against Pulev, but not being aggressive in many parts of the fight when he did have advantages. Is there an accusation, and maybe being accused of being gun-shy against Alexander Usyk? Is he getting enough respect, and is this the way he can win back respect, by being this aggressive enforcer again?
I think that if you worry about just pleasing people and getting respect from people, it's going to lead to a pretty sad life, really, and you're never going to be happy because no one's ever going to be happy. So I think he's matured to a space where he's doing it for himself, really, and I think he's felt over the years when people have gone against him or started not supporting him that some people can be quite fickle, and I can't just be trying to please everybody all the time.
But hasn't he done for British boxing and world boxing
Gav,
that we should be appreciating as well?
I said this before this week. We wouldn't be here without Anthony Joshua. You guys, Spence, talkSPORT, Sky, DAZN, all these people are investing money because of the growth of British boxing that basically was ignited by Anthony Joshua. The stadium shows, the big pay-per-view numbers, the World Heavyweight Championship, all of this stuff stems from him. And some people feel that he's manufactured, but if you have a brain and you look at his resume, like if you're manufactured, I mean, look, my dad he's over there, used to promote Chris Eubank, right? They went around on the Chris Eubank World Tour fighting people who I cannot believe, when I look back, were getting in the ring with Chris Eubank and fighting for world titles. Look at the run AJ's been on. Dillian White, Vladimir Klitschko, Dominic Brazil, Vladimir Klitschko after that, Charles Martin was like, I'm going to start again because this is very important. Dillian White, Charles Martin, Eric Molina, Dominic Brazil, Vladimir Klitschko, Carlos Takam, Joseph Parker in another unification, Alexander Povetkin in a mandatory, Andy Ruiz, Kubrat Pulev, Alexander Usyk.
Yeah, he doesn't duck anyone.
But when you're as big as he is, you're allowed some gimmies. Yeah. He's not had the gimmies. Yeah. And because all those earlier fights, even Charles Martin, he was 16-0, fighting a 33-0 guy with 31 knockouts that no one really knew a lot about. But he's never shirked a challenge. You know how many people after the first Alexander Usyk fight came to me and said, you should have vacated. I'm like, what? And ducked Usyk? Imagine the stick you'd get then.
Yeah.
And then after the first fight, everyone said to me, don't let him fight him again, whatever you do. Oh, guess what he wanted to do? Fight Alexander Usyk again. Isn't this what you want as fight fans? Like, this guy could go and fight a nobody and make 10 million, right, and fill up an arena. He doesn't want to. He's in it to win, to be the best, to create a legacy in the sport.
Going into the immediate rematch is never an easy thing to do, as you know, Eddie. He'd done it against Andy Ruiz. Everyone put him down. He wasn't the favourite going into that second fight. People thought it was too soon. The same again here. He's an overwhelming, actually, underdog here. And speaking to Joshua, I think he's feeding off that. Yeah. And he said, you know what, Spence, I want to prove these people wrong. And he wants to gain that respect. So, I mean, he's been an inspirational guy and changed a lot of people's lives, and a lot of people forget that about Anthony Joshua and the road that he was on, where he come from, where he ended up, and he's inspired a lot of people. I mean, he deserves a lot more credit than what he's getting.
He does, and but I think he's got to that stage in his life where he's done everything he can. He's been a fantastic ambassador, role model. He's always trying to act in the way that could inspire that next generation. I've seen it firsthand. Even the time he gives my kids, like he's amazing around that younger generation, but he wants to win, and I love him being the underdog in this fight, because you know what, when that Usyk walked out through that tunnel there with all the belts, I just looked at him and thought, oh, this is great. You know what I mean? Normally that's us, and we've got to stay behind after to do a presentation with the governing body because they want to give you a new belt or a new ring because you just paid another $1 million to the governing body, and AJ just walked off down there while Usyk was up there doing his thing. Great. You can change it with one punch. You can win all that back. It's like when Andy Ruiz was standing at Madison Square Garden, looking across the other side of the ring, going, I'm one punch away from all of that gold.
Does he feel that there's no pressure on his shoulders now?
AJ? No, he feels the pressure, but he puts the pressure on himself. He's not concerned about the pressure that the public or the media are putting on him. He's just concerned about the pressure he's putting on himself because he wants to win so bad.
Come on, final prediction. What happens tomorrow night?
AJ inside 7 rounds.
There you go, Spence. You were obviously knee-deep in conversation with Eddie Hearn there, and a few of the things that he says I think a lot of people would agree with. What did you take from what you saw at the weigh-ins?
Listen, I sort of agree with Eddie. I think we were all surprised by the weight of Alexander Usyk. Everyone expected him to come in bigger. We've seen photos of him in training. We've seen short video clips of him in training, and he did look bigger. Very surprised that he only come in a couple of pounds heavier than the previous fight, and Anthony Joshua also. So that sort of changes things a lot, doesn't it? Because, we were talking about, tactics and, what Usyk was planning to do, and we thought he was coming in heavier, so we thought that he was planning to stand his ground a little bit more, because obviously he felt the strength of Anthony Joshua last time. So yeah, it sort of changes things.
Does it? I think Usyk's doing the same thing as last time.
No, that's what I'm saying. It changes things as in what we thought was going to happen. Okay. Now I've reverted back to the other way. Now it's for Usyk's done exactly what he should have done. Listen, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Take off from where you left off. And that's exactly what he's planning to do. He's gone, why do I need to change things? I won it so easily last time. Yep. Why should I change this one? AJ's the one that's got to change it all. He's the one that's got to go soul searching. He's the one that's got to find that fire in his belly. He's the one that's got to take the risk. So it becomes a very interesting listen. Look, we've all got our opinions on how this one's going to go. Loved AJ's reaction, by the way, as well. And Eddie sort of picked up on it as well about, him just saying, just wait and see. Let's just do it. Don't worry about that. Talk is, we can talk about weights and we can talk about this. Let's just get in the ring. I've got a good idea of what he's going to do, but I tell you someone that's got a better idea, mate, and that's Mr. Goodall over there, because I think he knows a thing or two as well. I'm sure we're not going to hear it all, but
he'll give us a bit. He'll give us
a little bit. Yeah, I mean,
for those that are watching and listening to the podcast, Mark Goodall very, very kindly has given up a bit of time to be on today's podcast. Now, Mike has obviously set up AJ's training camp out here in the Middle East, and he's obviously setting up the ring and the various logistics connected to the big fight at the King Abdullah Arena on fight night. But as well as that, obviously in setting up a training camp, you are privy to the orders that come in, the types of heavy bags and all those types of things that come your way, and you might get to see the odd thing. So Mike, come on, we're going to kick back and shut up, and you're going to hopefully just give us a little bit of the insight as to how that training camp has gone for Anthony Joshua ahead of this big fight with Alexander Usyk.
I think he's gone very well for him, actually. I think he's very pleased with what he's done. He's been out here getting acclimatised for 6 weeks, which is important part of it, and what have you. When it comes to boxing, I don't particularly know what I'm talking about, because I've not seen very many fights.
Yeah, right. Yeah, you've been watching fights since 1903, mate.
I think I've seen in somewhere in the excess of 60 to 65,000 fights in my time in boxing, which I would think there is nobody else in the world has seen that. So I don't really know what I'm talking about. But having watched him train and what have you, I'm not going to give any secrets away. I'm not saying anything at all, except don't write AJ off. And watch this space, because I think you're going to be rather surprised.
Oi, that's just got me going, boy.
You can't say that. I'm going to ask you a question. I've obviously got to ask you questions off the back of that, of the things that you've seen. You mentioned a little earlier on when we were doing the live show about the heavy bag, and we've seen little bits and clips that they've put out on their social media where AJ has been targeting those big hooks, straight, big right hands, lower down that big bag. Yesterday at the weigh-ins, he said to Alexander Usyk, he looked him in the face and he said, "How's the body, son?"
Listen.
That's where he's going. Let's be straight. Look, Spence, that's where he's going.
Look, since obviously their last fight, and I'm going to jump in here a little bit because I don't want to put Mike on the spot too much. I've spoke to Mike off camera, by the way. Mike can fill us in with what he wants to fill us in with. I think everyone's going to be pleasantly surprised by what they've seen from AJ, because you know what AJ needed to do, didn't you? You know that AJ needed to find something else. He needed to add something in the locker, because what he had in there weren't enough against Usyk. That became evident last September 2021. He went away, he found a new trainer, he's come back. Robert Garcia and Angel Fernandez have worked tremendously well from him, and I can tell you something now, you're going to be surprised. He's added tools to the locker, and the tools I think he needs to get victory. And this is not me. I forget. And do you know what? I hate all that old Spencer AJ fanboy and all that. Yeah, I am a fanboy, actually. I am a fanboy because I love what the kid's done. I love where he's come from, what he's done, what he's achieved. He doesn't get the recognition for it. And I love what he's done for this fight. I'm just saying that. Mike, you can take it from there.
Yeah. I mean, he has. He had to alter. That's why he changed trainers. Robert McCracken did an excellent job with him. He really did. He's brought him right through the England squad, and he's brought him in. But it wasn't working anymore. So therefore, you've got to look to change, and he's looked to change, and he got to change tactics, because as he was wooden, he was upright, and he was a target all the while. And as soon as you stop moving, you're a target. And with Usyk, who is so fast, that target, bang, you've hit. Now, AJ has got to keep moving, and he knows that.
And you've seen saying that we ain't, Mike. And you've got a little smile on your face, mate. And you don't normally smile.
I've got a little smile on my face because I think AJ, it's done him a world of good to change trainers.
So without you
There's
giving
a few different ideas there which he's worked on and he's worked on and he's worked on.
Without you giving anything away, Mike, I'm going to ask you a question, and you can just say to me yes or no, and that will give me the idea. Has AJ adapted his style the way he should have to defeat Alexander Usyk?
He's developed it and altered it a long way towards beating him. Whether he does or not is another question. And I'm not going to predict a winner, right? After the last one, I said that AJ had got no chance at all. Because the one thing AJ's got to do is go forward. He's got to walk forward into Usyk. Usyk cannot box off the back foot.
Yeah.
That was so evident last time. Now AJ's got to walk into there. Now if you're walking into Usyk, you've got to be moving all the while, because as soon as you stop moving, you're that target, right? Now he's got to keep moving all the while, and he will be moving all the while. I'm sure he will.
Well, you would know.
Do you know what I'm thinking of now? Do you remember the Apollo Creed Balboa training montage when they're in the mirror?
Absolutely.
That's what I'm thinking, man. Footwork. We've got to get fast feet. That's what I'm thinking. Do you reckon you could do it for the people?
Listen.
Could you show the people the fast feet?
It ain't just the fast feet.
No.
Head, everything. The whole thing's got to move.
Everything's got to move.
Adam, I'm going to dangle a little carrot. Do I reckon?
Yeah.
Or do I know? That's all I'm saying. Let's leave it there, baby. Let's leave it there, baby.
Hey, there we go. We're in for a big show. I'm looking for. Have we got fireworks? What have we got tomorrow night regarding the logistics inside there?
Yeah, I think so. I don't know too much about that because
I know what's going on there.
Been busy doing a lot of other things, training camps and workouts this week. We had to bring a ring over for that and what have you, and I've been very involved in that, and it's been a nightmare getting stuff into the country.
Mike, one more question. I need one more question from you.
Yeah.
Any boxer knows when a boxer's in a ring, that when they're boxing, they're using their own ring, yeah? So, like, the public that are listening to this, someone might not recognise it, say things a ring's a ring. It's not. When you're in your own ring, you're comfortable. It's like football. It's like footballers playing at home and playing away, right? So when you got your own ring, you feel very comfortable. Mike, tell me, has there been attention to detail in the ring that is going in on Saturday night? Hence, the ropes, the canvas, the thickness of the
size, everything
of the cushioning on the floor, underneath the canvas, the sponging. When I say attention to the detail, is it something AJ's used to?
It's something that AJ does, and he does it right.
Right. There you go.
There
you go. And this is, by the way, this is not like, well, what does that mean? It's very, very important. As an ex-fighter, I know rings, the thickness of the sponge underneath the canvas itself, the way the canvas is painted, the way the ropes are taped. I'm just leaving it there.
Listen, you built it up, gents. You built it up. I'll tell you something, we're in for a heck of a fight. 8 o'clock, come and join us for live, exclusive and free commentary on talkSPORT. Alexander Usyk versus Anthony Joshua. It is going to be a cracker. Do not miss it.